Hello, Philmont families. I want to thank you so much for your loyalty to Philmont in a time when going back to school is fraught with so many fears, so many concerns. I appreciate all of you taking the time to think this through so carefully on behalf of your children. And I apologize if I've not been able to return the many phone calls and emails that I have received. But I want you to know that we have been working on a reopening plan that I think will help to set your minds at ease. As we consider the factors of going back to school, there's some very different ways that we are different from other school districts. First of all, we are a small school, a small student body in a large building. We are not a school district with thousands and thousands of students who need to be cared for. We have careful families and cooperative students. Now, I know what you're saying, not my student, but yes, your student, by and large, are so much more cooperative than what you may find in some of the public schools. And so I understand their concerns about whether kids would keep on masks or obey the hand washing protocols that are required for us to mitigate the risk of the COVID virus. But I believe that our students would be willing to do that, especially because they would be able to be together in one place with their friends and their teachers. And the last way that we're different is that we have teachers who not only see the value of teaching in person, face-to-face, but also are willing to do so. They are also laying their lives on the line to come in and teach, but they see the importance of that kind of relationship building that helps students to learn in the best possible way. So all of these are ways that I think that we can mitigate the risk. We cannot eliminate the risk. It is risky to do anything in the world. We just forget about those risks when we get into the car and we put our seatbelt on. We don't expect to have a traffic accident, but it could happen. In the same way, I think that there are ways that we can mitigate the risk of the COVID virus here and allow the students to come back in person. In the next day or so, you are going to see on the website something called a reopening plan for Philmont. In it, I detail the many, many ways that we are going to take the health and safety plan, which was a little more broad, and work it out in very specific detail. It's a long document, but if you read it carefully, and I hope that you will see how carefully we have thought about each and every part of the day and how to care for our students. Also, later today, I hope to have up some signups so that you can join Zoom meetings with limited enrollment in those meetings so that you can talk to me about your concerns and I can answer you back. So look for those as well. And then I also promised that we would have some times when you could come to the school and walk through and see how the classrooms are set up. Perhaps if you see how we have things spread out in the classrooms, it will help you to know how we are going to be taking care of the students while they are here. We're still a work in progress. Not everything is in place yet, but there is enough for you to get a good sense of how we plan to care for your students. I recognize that these are very hard decisions that you are making because you do love our school and you want your students to be able to come. Each of you has different circumstances in your lives that make you think that this may or may not work for you. And I applaud the fact that you are considering so carefully. I wanted to share something about my life that maybe will help you to understand where I'm coming from when we made the decision, and I made it really on behalf of everyone else, that we would come back to school in person. The first child that Mr. Legal and I adopted was a little boy who had been born to a drug-addicted mom. He was in 7 foster homes by the time he was 3 years old. And so he came to us a very broken little person. But even more than that brokenness, he also had sickle cell disease. So we were counseled how he was to be cared for, the things that would keep him in the best health possible. But many of those things involved limiting how much he had physical activity and being sure that he had plenty of water to drink and things like that. And that wasn't always so easy because he was very active, and best of all, he loved to ride his bicycle. So in the summertime when it got hot and it was easy for him to get depleted as far as his hydration, I would say to him, you can go out for 15 minutes and then you need to come back to the house and get cooled down. Well, of course, once he was out on that bike, 15 minutes turned into often very much longer. And I always knew we were in trouble if he came into the house and immediately went and laid down on the couch, because that meant he was already starting to hurt. And that meant we were in for a sickle cell crisis, which could be anywhere from 2 to 5 days of extreme pain while it worked its way through his body. Once when he was out on a ride, he stopped at the park that's near us, and there was a little creek running through there. He played in that, and we think what happened was he put his hands in his mouth after that. He ended up with salmonella poisoning. He was in the hospital for 6 days. And after that, he spent the entire rest of the summer, 6 weeks, in bed because he was so sick from that one little mistake that he made. But you know, we never considered not allowing him to ride a bike or not allowing him to go outside and play because he was a child and it was an important part of his development. I think this situation is kind of the same. I know that you are concerned for your children, but I also know that there are many ways that we are trying to take care of them and be sure that they will be healthy. And so I hope that you will consider that, and I hope that you will be willing to send your children to Philmont again this year. We have a great year planned despite all the uncertainty, and we're excited to see you come back. If you'd like to sign up for one of the Zoom meetings or to come for a walkthrough, be sure to do that as soon as those come out, and we'll be sending that out as an email blast, so you will be aware of it. Thanks very much for listening to this video, and I hope to see you in person soon.